I'm here. Kind of a somber day today, but we're gonna get through it. For those of you who don't know, if you went on Twitter, sadly, you would have found out that one of the horror slash comedy greats, fucking Tim Curry, just passed away today. So in his honor, I'm gonna play a couple horror games and have some fun and try to forget about it, even though he kind of made up most of my childhood, and it's kind of breaking me a little bit. Be good. What do I need? Do I need that though? Do I have that tool? I know I have that one. Wait, I made a new spirit box, or is it not a sealed one? It just looks different. Use the face. Plus, I haven't played Demonologist in a while, so I figured, fuck, why not? I need a candle. Shit, I just bought an extra one. I didn't need that. Look. Okay, so sell that one. How the food should I put in front of the camera? Okay, I have everything I need then. Okay. So, I don't know anything about these new maps yet, so I'm just gonna go buy my fucking tried and true one, Kurosawa. Ignore my level. We're not gonna talk about that. Oh, I don't play this game solo way too much. What the fuck? Can you load? Pretty sure maps don't look like that normally. Let's see. Katanas, solve the mystery of the paintings, put the dead rats in the boiler. Even if someone is next to you, it will respond. Okay. Did they add any new ghosts? Or... Let's see. Nope. Looks pretty much the same. Flashlight. Alright, let's do this shit. Hello, what's up? How you doing? Hi. Flashlight. There we go. Alright, let's see. Did they add anything new to the... It's like a little more decorated, but maybe just tripping. I mean... No, it kind of does look a little more decorated. Closet's already there, so that's just new, nothing new. Alright. I'm also still under the weather, so ignore my voice sounding like shit. Ain't no fucking way you already hunting, bro. What the fuck was that? I just got here. Who starts a conversation like that? I just sat down. What time is it? Ew, you creepy. It's spooky time. That's what time it is. Alright, that one's facing left. Oh, that's a new one. That's also a new one. One's facing right. Hungry. 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 I know you can hear me, you fucking ghost. Fuck you. Hungry. Left. Left, right, left. Literally. Nothing yet? Why do I have a fucking crucifix on me? That's a waste of slot. I don't need that right yet. No EMF readings yet. Oh, voodoo doll. Come handy later. Alright. Oh, there we go. EMF 3. Is it in here or out here? EMF 5. I don't know what room it's in though. It's throwing shit. Yeah, it's out here. Okay. Drop a cruci. Outside. The activity. Alright, anyways. I'll fuck you up. Hey, Vault. I'm sad today. I fucking get home, and I swear to God, I get right online for like 2 seconds. And the first thing that pops up is a fucking image, a black and white image of Tim Curry with 2026. Rest in peace on it. And I'm just like, oh no, you can't do this to me. You can't take another one from us. Sure enough, they did. The original actor for It, and fucking who did so many other fucking amazing roles, and who touched everyone's hearts for years, and who's pretty much most of my childhood, honestly. Looking back, has passed away today, and it makes me really depressed. But I'm chugging along. I'm attempting to fight the ghosty ghouls and fucking in his honor. So yeah. Oh, hi. Where you at? Oh, you're ugly as fuck. I hate you. I hate that one specifically. Fucking bitch. So yeah. Fucking ghosty ghouls. You just call me your little bitch. I'll fucking fight you, cunt. Where are you? How ugly are you? What are you doing? Want to fight? Are you in here? Are you a bitch? Want to fight? Why you keep throwing shit? Why are you so rude? Hello? You gonna talk to me, or you gonna be a little bitch? You're gonna be a little bitch. Alright. Back to the drawing board then. Ugh. Fight me like a man, you stupid ghosty go. Oh my god, not the car. Yo, Qua. They took my boy, Qua. How did they do this to me, Qua? You're bringing me meat, Qua. I can lap my nose and stuff because I was legit crying. That shit hurt. It hurt my feels. It hurt my pain. It felt like pain. It was pain. Deep emotional pain. Scarring. I need to recover. Alright, fucking easel and going down in the middle, since apparently that's where the ghost usually hangs out at. Well, we got freezing temps. Something. Abaddon, Mare, Oni, or Jin. Well, if it's an Oni, it won't kill me. If it's an Abaddon, I'll have to use a Fruit Fix so he won't kill me. Oh, it's not an Oni, it's an Onryo. I was thinking of fuck. An Onryo won't kill its obsession. Oni will murder the fuck out of me. Nothing. Where are you? Where are you? How old are you? You speak French? Oui, oui, bonjour. Oui, oui, bitch face. Alright, I gotta get the EKG. Better for them not to see that ugliness is plaguing the world. Well, I mean, he did see it. He was part of it. Well, not part of it, but I mean, he was at least in his 60s or 70s. I mean, think about it. He was the original It. He played in the fucking 1985 movie Clue when he was like probably in his 20s. He was the devil in one movie. He was fucking. He's had a lot of roles, man. He was in Rocky Horror Picture Show. Tim Cook had a lot of roles. He was in Five Scare Movie too as the professor that fucking, with the nipple thing.
Why do you come?
Crazy.
Crazy 1618
Thanks for
added
the
7
raid.
new divine whelps.
I'm trying to not be sad. So thanks. Yeah, I'm thinking of having like a fucking Tim Cook movie done maybe this weekend. We can just fucking sit back and watch all his best hits as a remembrance of the man, the myth, the legend himself. I can't believe he's gone, honestly. First Dolly Parton, now Tim Cook. It's crazy, man. Too many greats gone too soon. 2026 is not the year. We've got too much bullshit going on already. We don't need this crap. Sadly, we don't get a choice. We gotta keep dealing with it. Just rolling with the punches, man. It's so sad. Like I actually cried because like nobody seems to realize I'm getting old. You know what I mean? Like he was my childhood. Most of the movies he was in, I've watched or was a fan of, or TV shows that he like voice act for were like some of my favorite shows, like The Wild Thornberrys and shit like that. Like the man's a legend. Like he's a massive fucking legend, and he should be fucking remembered as the legend that he is. Thanks. I feel like a part of my childhood died with them today. It kind of sucks, but it is what it is. I'll get over it. I don't think I've ever had anything affect me that way in a while, so maybe it's just my body saying, hey, maybe it's time to have some feelings for once. Seeing as I neglect to ever feel anything half the time because I'm too afraid to feel things. Sucks, but we'll get through it. See, I didn't have the same feeling when Dolly Parton passed away because I don't know, like I love her music and shit, but I never really I don't think she was that much of an influence on me growing up as like Tim Cook was. That's why his death hits harder. It is what it is. But thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. I'm not trying to make it all depressing. I'm just having a moment. How was your stream? How are you? How is your life going? How's everything going for you? It's been a while since we've talked. Yeah. You probably don't remember, but I used to be Asher. I don't know if you remember that. But, yeah, I changed my name again. What is this ghost doing? What is my evidence? I have freezing temps. I have EMF 5. Jin and Air, Abaddon, Oni. Abaddon, I need Spirit Box. Oni, I need Fingerprints. Jin, I need ESG. Jin, Abaddon, Oni. What's that, Mare too? Easel canvas drawing. I got nothing yet. I'm gonna have to go back in and try the what's we call it? Shush. My voice does not sound familiar. I don't know what you're talking about at all. Crazy. That's a lie. You know it. Who's this Asher you speak of? I don't know him. He's kind of a good goober anyway. Fuck that guy. I know my watch does not say 9/29. It is not 9/29 on Friday the 21st. So I don't know what month you think it is, but okay. That shit needs to be updated. Kind of ironic the more I think about it. Not really remember voices better than I remember faces or names. Well, that's crazy. I can't remember half of it. I can't remember names for shit. You can tell me your name in 6 months from now, I'll literally forget it. Plus, I have object permanence, so I forget a lot of things, including people. A lot. It sucks, but it is what it is. That's life. What are you gonna do? Okay, nothing on the canvas. I could move this over a little bit. Try the voice box again. Hello. Are you a bitch? What are you doing? You want to get freaky? Freaky deaky? Did you know? Space. That is all. You ain't close enough to me. You're just some stranger Earth thing. Damn, I don't know about all that. That seems a little harsh. I don't know. I've just never been good with names, unless it's like a common name. If it's something complicated, I'm not gonna remember it. I'm weird like that. Then again, I've had people tell me their names and I completely forget it and call them somebody else, and I'm like, I can't be held responsible for me forgetting. I am an idiot. People should know this when they meet me. I don't know what to tell you. I am not the brightest crayon in the box. My brain doesn't function the way most people's does. It don't remember shit. It just remembers what it wants to. And if it didn't want to remember it, I don't know. It's probably just a stupid thing that happens. I don't know what else to say, honestly. But of course I remember my friends, because that's obvious. But even sometimes I forget their names too, especially the real life names. I can remember screen names better than I can remember real names. Well, even then, I still forget the screen names too. You lie. Wait, is she fingerprints? No. What is going on, bro? Give me something. Give me a clue. Give me a hint. Show me feet pics. Something. Kidding. I don't like feet pics. Feet are gross. Send me those and I'll fight you. Can you draw for me? Can you show yourself? Can you do something funny? Can you fucking not be a little bitch ghost and just fucking show up already? Anyways. But yeah, it's nice to see you again. We should totally hang out sometime. Whenever I'm not completely fucking swamped with work and avoiding streaming because I'm just scared of living my life, apparently. Or, you know, when Fortnite's having a complete bitch and I want to fucking throw my hands and scream. Or other games for that matter. Especially DVD. What the fuck is that? Oh, apparently, guys, quote me on this. Fortnite said they're going to fix the matchmaking system because apparently they realized it's a little too unfair. So we'll fucking see. If I load in tomorrow Can I go into solos and I still get sweated on? I'm going to be pissed. That's all I'm gonna say. You want the demon booty? Look, you can have fox booty or dragon booty. That's the only booties you're allowed to have now. Or whatever other form I decide to take at some point in the near future. Which possibly might be cat or wolf. And or fishy. I have been contemplating doing a mermaid model or some sort. Just gotta figure out how that's gonna work. You don't stop throwing shit, boy. I'm gonna fight you. Maybe it's over here. Maybe I drop the shit over here. Let's try that. Better not fucking face you the map, I swear to God. I'll throw hands. He feels like he's moved over here. Yeah. So we're just gonna try. That's my delusional ass and hope it works. But I hope things get better for you, Crazy. If you ever want to talk, you know, you can reach me. I have the same Discord, so. Ah, the fuck was that? You bitch. Why you do this to me, huh? Why you spooking me? Why you spooking me? Oh, ew. Gross. Get that shit out of here. I don't like that. You're not spooking Jukes. The fuck is going on? Okay, see, my only gripe about Demonologist, like, my major gripe about this game, is that it takes so fucking long for you to find a third fucking clue. It's not even funny. And mind you, this is on easy difficulty, so there should be no reason for this. I already ruled that out, This is not ruled out yet. Hello? Hello? Where are you? How old are you? Do you speak French? Do you like big butts and you can't lie and other butts can't deny? When a big thing walks in with itty bitty waist and when a girl walks in with itty bitty waist and a big thing in your face, you get sprung. Want to pull out tongue? Come on, leave me something here. Give me something. Stop throwing shit. Just fucking do something. You know, you're a bitch ghost. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Bitch ass ghost. This bitch ass ghost being a bitch ass ghost again. I don't like it. I feel like my model's too bright for this game. Hang on. I'm gonna switch it up. Too bright. Gotta be all dark and gloomy. Or purple. Whatever. That works too. Fuck you if you don't like it. Ugh. Also, I feel like that model needs some work. Still looking for the last clue here. Fucking bullshit. I mean, I can use the Fulu, but that puts me at risk of getting killed. Possibly. More than probably. I do not know what these other new maps are like or what the fucking exorcism is, so I gotta figure that out before I even try them. So if they're fucking like hard, I'm not even gonna bother. Come on, Ghost, get active. I want you to get physical, physical. Let's get physical, physical. indoors. Do something useful with your fucking life, you bitch. You dirty, dirty bitch. Why do you hate me? What the fuck? Why aren't they doing anything? Let's fucking guess. Where's the honey? What's up? Oh, hi. Well, that wasn't weird at all. Keep your photo to yourself, lady. Keep your demonic form to yourself, sir. Oh, unless you're gonna show it to me, then yeah, give me. Show me that shit, bitch. Show me you ain't bullshit and do something. Talk. Right on the damn easel. Show your existence to me. Make yourself known before I give you the bone. That's not what I meant, you dick. You know what I meant. I fucking don't do that. Don't do that. Fucking bitch. I said make yourself known. I said make yourself known in the ESG, not on my freaking phrase. The hell is wrong with you? Who do you think this is? Who do you think you are? Who do you think I am? I'm a nobody. Show yourself so I can leave. Fucking ghost, man. Always want to play hard to get. I'm trying to rage bait the demon. It's not a ghoul though, so I can't curse at it. Remember that time it was fucking ghoul and I cursed at it? It fucking immediately hunted me. Not seriously. I'll go for that, maybe. Who knows? Well, I guess I'll just sit here and wait. Because I'm not, it's not, clearly not fucking audio. Clearly not fingerprints. So it's gotta be one of these two. Show yourself, ghosty ghoul, or I'll ghoul over your resting spot. I wouldn't mind gooning on him. Ayo. Gooner. Goo. Bitch. If this motherfucker thinks I'm gonna explain it in a text message, she could just come to my stream. Oh. Oh. Really? Why does this suck? This is so boring. Like, come on, bro. Give me something. Anything. Come on, man. That's gonna be go play fucking Fortnite, aren't you? Well, tell him why. Tell him why I'm sad. Well, for one, I'm pissed off because fucking game's taking forever to give me a goddamn hint or where the fucking last clue is. And for two, one of the great actors of our time, well, my time, who I very much enjoyed and loved all of his roles that he's ever done, and was much of my childhood. He passed away today. I just found out on Twitter. and it made me sad, just because he's like literally part of my childhood, and I grew up watching a lot of his movies and shows and shit that he was in, and yeah, so it made me pretty sad. Have you ever watched the mini series for Stephen King's It? The It the Clown from that one, not the new movies, but the old ones. That was Tim Curry. That was yeah, greatest actor of all time. Also, scary movie too. The Professor, yeah, that was Tim Curry too. And 1985's Clue, he was the butler in that movie. He also was in Rocky Horror Picture Show, and quite a bit of other films that I never knew. He was also the fucking father, Nigel Thornberry in the Thornberries. So yeah, he did a lot of roles that I fucking grew up watching and enjoying. So kind of hurts a little bit. It's like how people got upset about Dolly Parton. Well, I got upset over the Tim Curry. This year sucks so far. We're losing too many great people. I mean, it was bad enough when we lost Betty White, but now we're losing all the fucking good fucking actors and actresses who are non-capitalistic fucking morons who only care about money. People who actually acted for the sake of acting and to bring joy to people and to be a role and be a character. We're starting to lose what Hollywood really was back in the day, which was good actors being fucking amazing. We're replacing them with these fucking stupid ass fucking one shot heroines and shit. Oh, hey, buddies. Exactly. He was like a master class in acting and horror acting and comedy, honestly. One of the horror greats. If you love horror, you'd love Tim Curry's movies. Most of them, anyway. Just move my fucking thing over, you weirdo? How the fuck did that work? Oh, be mad. Where are you? Oh, shit! Well, it's not an Abaddon. Well, roll that out. This is not an Abaddon. So it's either a Mare, Jin, or an Oni. Mare needs easel canvas drawing. Oni needs fingerprints. Jin needs ESG. Because it's very active, it reveals itself quickly. I don't know. It took him a while to hunt. It's known to be very fast. Could be an Oni. Difficult to detect. If there's someone nearby, it will not want to hunt. I don't know. I'm thinking it might be a mare. I had more people here to make it more easier, because then I could tell if it was like, a mare or not. Oh, Vey, this is gonna take forever, isn't it? I get it here. If I can't even get through one match without the fucking game taking forever to give me a fucking hint, then I'm just gonna switch games. Holy shit, it's ridiculous. As many updates as this game has gotten, you're seriously telling me you're gonna take this long to give me a fucking one clue? Because at that point, it's got to be Oni. Not Oni. Jin. I think it's a mare. Gotta be. She only thing that makes sense. But it's taking forever to detect it. 24%. Yeah, that's great. I'm just gonna go ahead and grab this. It smells menstruation. Fire. Right. Find the pot and boil the rats in. Yeah, oh, there it is. Oh, fuck off. Jesus fucking Christ. Just get the fuck out of me, lady. Jesus. Jesus. Ah. The rat doesn't even look alive. Hey! Fucking bitch. Did you just drop a flashbang on me? The fuck did I just hear hit the ground like that? That's weird. Don't do that. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it one fucking bit. Dirty hoe. Rabbit. Wascally wabbit. Now she did an owl sword. Don't know what the first painting is, but I can just fucking kind of jerry rig that shit. So fine. Huh. I wonder if it's the third sort upstairs. I've never had it upstairs before. I must have added lower locations. Interesting. Very interesting, but stupid. Right. Really? Fucking grandma. Fuck off. Jeez Louises. Got it. Okay. I need the mask and the egg and the flour. Ask. I never did get this exorcism style. Like, what is that? What is that mask, the egg, and the flower to do with anything? Is it supposed to be like a death mask or something? It, like, sends the spirit back to where they've been known. Or some weird shit like that. I don't fucking know. Never did understand the traditions of Japanese. Japanese. Get on your knees. I think I'm turning Japanese. I think I'm turning Japanese. I really think so. Is it in here? Nope. Must gotta be in the bathroom then. Found it. No, she's gonna not die. It probably wasn't a mirror. I can almost guarantee it. No, my damn luck. But this motherfucker don't want to give me no more clues, so I'm done with it. I don't know. Apparently it's a cage to hell. Back the hell you go. Okay, sword back. No, fuck. I wanted a souvenir. Keyword wanted. Cause I'm a cowboy. My side, little love. Just out of curiosity. Cause I feel like it opened one of these doors at some point. Guess not. That scared me so bad I choked on my food. Well, don't die. You goober. I'm supposed to die. Look, we already lost Tim Curry. We ain't losing you too, bitch. Not allowed. Live, motherfucker, live. Well, I don't see no fingerprints, bro. No idea. What the fuck could have been the solution to that? Let's go get in our car that doesn't look anything like Dorothy. I was trying to. Now, not allowed. Oh. It was an Oni. What the fuck did I tell you? Fucking bullshit. I don't want to switch games because this is gonna take too long otherwise. I don't want to save it for literally 45 minutes trying to do one fucking KO ghost. That's just stupid. Fuck it. Let's do observation duty. That's always a good throwback. The good old favorite. What do you mean, new game? Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. You know, I don't think we've ever really done the house in the past. Might as well do it. Oh, that's why I never did it. It's just kind of confusing. Welcome to your new job. Are you prepared? You know what to do, right? Spot anomalies, sim reports. Pretty simple. Good luck. Why is it like 8-bit? How the fuck do I know this is an anomaly? Abyss presence, camera malfunction, corpse, door opening, closing, extra object, floor walls moving, ghost intruder, object, experience object, growth object, movement object, shrinkage, painting anomaly. Holy fuck. It's a lot of anomalies. Anyone else just hear that sound? It's not like someone breathing in my ear. Was that full of water before? Probably. I don't know. I think this object grows. Maybe. Could be wrong. Maybe find out. Oh, floating TV. Look at that shit. Object. Movement. Living room. Jeez, that was loud. Ow, my ears. My ears got raw pain. So far, nothing has changed yet. Ah, rah, 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 rah. That computer was on before, right? I feel like it was. What was there? We were there, I think. Can't see much changes here. I know, like, putting an anomaly report in is not a good idea, right? Because it takes forever. Oh, wait. Was that there before? I don't think that was there before. Action object in the bedroom. Not. object movement. No, no. There's multiple anomalies active. Please find and report them. I'm fucking trying. You're doomed if you don't. You can do it. I know you can. Wait, did these move? I feel like those moved. I don't know. I'm probably doomed here. It's too pixelated. I can't tell the fuck I'm looking at. I really can't tell if there's any changes, to be fair. You know, living room subject movement? I don't fucking know, dude. I'm so confused. Which ones, my guy? You don't even tell me. Well, that's some bullshit. We're going back to the regular one. This is too complicated for my brain. My pea brain. Oh, whoa. I'm just gonna keep doing it until I see something crazy happening. I ain't gonna front. I'm fucking tired. I might not stream long. I might hop off after this game. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm beat. I'm emotionally and physically exhausted. I have not felt like myself for like the last 3 days, and I don't know why. I mean, this really didn't help any, but it's not the reason why I don't feel like myself. I just haven't. Yeah, we do 7 round this last round. Some lost play game or something. Honestly, I kind of feel like I just need to hop off. I'm tired. You can't redeem first and second, bitch. Put me in a dick. I won't fucking hurt you. Well, sucks to suck. You ain't getting your points back. I don't have my tits on. Haha. Eat it. You ain't first and second. You're either first or second, dumbass. There's no double dipping. Don't annoy me. I'm fucking not in the mood. Why does I feel like I'm missing every anomaly that's probably popping up right in front of my face? Am I stupid? I mean, besides the obvious, maybe it's just too early. Wait, isn't there usually a box here? The yard, right? Yeah. There's usually a box right there, if I'm not mistaken. You think I played this game or freaking map enough times I would know this? I'm pretty sure that's what it is. What do you mean? Isn't there not a box out here usually? Or is the box an anomaly? I don't fucking know. Maybe I'm tripping. It feels like I'm tripping. Hey, I'll slip it and fall it. I can't get it. Wait. That's close. No brain on the table. Nothing over there. Nothing out here. No picture changes. No hanging corpse. No shoes missing. Absolutely nothing changed in here. Unless there's an extra object. I don't know. What the fuck are you supposed to be? You know what? I'm trying. Leave me alone. There, FX1, maybe. I don't see anymore. Don't know where you see an anomaly in here. Or here for that matter. Oh, that picture. It's the dining room. There. Don't say I never found nothing, damn it. Just pieces still on the table, Kyle. Everything looks fine in here. Except maybe that chair moved. Then what am I missing? For paper, though. Yeah. No idea what I missed. Yeah. I'm not feeling it today. Sorry, guys. I'm really not. I'm gonna hop off. I'll try to stream again tomorrow or Friday. We'll see. Alright. Okay, bye for now. I'm sorry. I'm having a day. I just feel so rough. Something will relax. And try to not think about shit. Yeah, I know that too. Freaky out ice cream commercial. Yeah. Alright, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Bye.